Hi friends, and welcome to the Uno platform live stream. This week's is going to be about VS 2026, and my name is Jérôme Labo. I'm the CTO of Uno platform, and I'm going to be spending about an hour, taking a look at Uno and looking at that new VS 2026 release that was open to insiders, and take a look at what it does with how it behaves with Uno, and see if we can need to do any adjustments there to get it running. This stream generally is used to be on the every week. It's been a while since I've been doing it, so we'll restart this this week. And if you're watching this from the recording, welcome, and see you next week if you're around. So this week we're going to take a look at the VS 2026 Insider build that has been released. This is something that I've been having the chance to take for a spin for a few weeks, and it's been quite interesting. I'm going to be showing you very small things that I've noticed here and there. This is a big AI oriented release, that also they say. I mean, it's not intrusive, but it's something that the Copilot has been taking quite a bit of space recently. So not going to dive into the AI pieces. It's not really the point here, but if you're Copilot fan, you're probably going to be liking this. The piece that I'm particularly interested in is the performance and the startup performance. It starts pretty quickly. I've started it already, but when you click the icon is just loading up pretty fast. It wasn't there, but it wasn't like this before. Was taking quite a bit of time to just load up for the first time. Even the list of recent projects is better now. So this is quite interesting, and when we're opening a solution, it's pretty interesting to see that we're not waiting that long. It's also net 10 enabled by default now, so if you're creating projects, it's getting there for net 10. This is something that they're preparing to get for the newer .NET Conf that's at the end of the year in November. So it's likely going to be released at the same time. And yeah, so that's what VS looks like. So you can see there are a few things that have been changing. You can see that the color set that's a bit different. Some of the icons have changed a little bit on the top. The rest is Copilot is prominent. If you never open Visual Studio, you're going to see Copilot show up immediately. But it's not intrusive that much after that. You can see that the contrast of icons is a little bit different. Another thing that's very visible now is the options panel, which is now not a model pop-up anymore, which makes a big difference. A lot of people have been asking for this, and they kind of took the bull by its horn and made modifications to make that happen, and make it a lot leaner than it used to be, so you can move it around and pretty much not have to fiddle around with that pop-up window that showed up. Everything else the same. You're gonna get the same kind of configuration there. There's a few things that changed around settings for NuGet Package Manager and package sources, where you can see all the pieces that have changed there. It's easier to add and remove items there. If you move around the tooling, you're going to see that there are pieces that are still not completely modified, and you can still get to the previous. You can still get to the previous version of the tooling if you want to. If I remember correctly, there was an option somewhere that allowed you to get to that one. I think it was in Customize. There's an option somewhere that pretty much allows you to go back and manipulate the previous version. So everything's not completely themed, but you're getting there. So that's it. That's pretty much what we have for VS. There's probably a lot of other things that have not been detailed by Microsoft yet, but that's pretty much what we get there. And since we're doing Uno, we're going to take a look at installing Uno extensions. So this is for the Uno extensions. So we can see that we're in 6.2 here, and the extension installed. We have not provided an explicit support for this newer version, but still Microsoft, they made it compatible. So pretty much, your existing extension will continue to work, and it will continue to be installed and be available. So that's for the support of VS 2022. So what I'm going to be doing is taking a look at one of the issues that has been reported on the UNO repository. And we're going to be doing it using VS 2022. And we're going to be also using .NET 10. This is going to be a deep dive into fixing one of the specific issues for the desktop target of UNO platform. So if you're new to UNO and wanted to develop and contribute to UNO, and you've noticed something that doesn't work and wanted to fix it by yourself, I'm going to be showing it again with the latest updates that we have around the UNO platform solution. So for getting the UNO core solution. So the first thing to do when you're developing for UNO is to go take a look at the global JSON first. In our context here, we're going to be trying to find to enable .NET 10 support. So to do this, and because we're running an RC1 of .NET 10.100, we're going to need to allow for the pre-release to be selected. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything. So this you set to true, and then you want to show all the files, and you want to copy that file. It's called cross-threading override props, and make sure that you remove the .sample out of it, and then you're going to get a file that looks like this. Actually, it's not sure. Yeah, let's take that file completely new because I rewrote it. So there it is, and you're going to see a few things that you can uncomment. The reason we're doing this is because we're allowing UNO to be compiled for a lot of versions, and specifically for different target frameworks. And we don't necessarily want Visual Studio to load up everything. There's no need. So we override the target framework that is being used by all the projects that are inside the solution to just one. So the one that we're going to be using here is .NET 10. And because we want to target Skia, which is this one, we're going to be selecting either .NET 9 or .NET 10. So I save the file. You can see that it's here as not committable, so it's excluded from Git. And then we can just select the solution filter that we have defined here. So this is a solution filter UNO UI Skia only. So let's open that solution filter. This is going to be loading only the targets, the projects that are relevant to the Skia target. And you can see that the loaded project is just 88 over 148, and that makes it faster to load. Even though it loaded 88 projects and it was pretty fast to get there, so that's pretty nice. So you can see that it's still reloading a few things here, which is fine. And then we get reloading here so that it loads the latest version. So the first thing that we need to do once we're there is to go and load the start the generic application. So this is a sample app that we have inside of UNO that just allows to test everything that we have in UNO. And I'm just going to be making myself a bit smaller here so we can see the bottom here. And we're going to just start that generic app that we have here. So samples app Skia generic. In the meantime, what we're going to take a look at is the issue that I was talking about. So the desktop here is the issue is a FileSavePicker, where the suggested file name, file type filter, suggested start location are not working. They are working in some of the targets, but not on this one. So we can see that WASM and WinApp SDK do have the right behavior, but Windows doesn't. Or at least Windows. We can try on the other targets, we're going to see, but there we can see that it doesn't work. So there's an app that's already there, so we can go take a look at that specific file, and we're going to be running. We're going to be opening that specific project. If it's full, and it's not, Okay, so that's interesting. So this is a project that has been created by a developer, and it's missing the top level of the project. So we're not going to be able to use the complete application here. So we're going to be just picking up some of the pieces here. So by the way, if you're making repro projects in Uno, make sure to follow our repro steps here, and how to zip it and how to attach it to an issue, so that we can avoid spending time just trying to recreate the issue that you had. So in the meantime, this is the application that's been started. So this is the Uno samples app. This is something that we're building every time we're building an Uno app, an Uno PR, and want to test anything. So you can see that there's a lot of features that are available here. So you can pretty much test all the controls and features that are part of Uno. And the one that we want to try is the feature that is around FileSavePicker. So there's probably a location where we can say search for FileSave. So there's probably a section that's called Pickers. There we go, Pickers. And we can see that there's a calendar picker, but I'm not sure. Yeah, that's probably not the one. So Pickers is datetime pickers. That's not the one that we're looking for. The one we're looking for is likely to be in storage. There we go. Okay. So we have file open picker for bitmaps, test, and other things like that. And the one that we want to try is the one that actually has a test already, but probably has been modified and broken once we went from our WPF backend to a Win32 backend, so that we can get a leaner set of packages, and probably broke something in between the two. So it's likely that when we run the application using the Win32, the WPF backend, it will work. And if we go to the Win32 backend, is going to fail. So we're going to try it out. So the issue is mentioning that suggested file name is not working. So let's try this out. So it's suggested file name. If we say my test file, and we do is a pick suggest file, we can see that nothing is happening, and we have an error with the debugger, so that's not super useful. But we can see here that the file filter is not set, the suggested file name is not working. So that is interesting. So let's try something else. So if we say file name choice, so let's try, I'm not too sure which one that is. So let's say we try with PNG. So we add the extension, and we try to pick again. There's that error is annoying. We're going to have to remove it. We can see that it's not selecting anything. I don't know what that is. Type file choice. Okay, so the PNG is supposed to be supporting. Oh, damn. I'm going to have to comment that one out. Okay, so there's nothing. So there's file save that doesn't save anything. There's save type that's not the right one. So we're going to have to go and figure out where this is used and why it's not doing anything. Okay. So structurally, the way this is happening, and I'm just going to be commenting this out. The way we're doing this is by using what are called runtime backends here, and we're going to be having one per platform. So we can see that there's one for WPF, one for Win32. There's another one for iOS, macOS, Android, and everything else. So we can see that this is going to be used for every target. And what we're doing for this is that every platform has its own way of selecting files, interacting with the pointers, displaying something on screen, things like that. And we're going to find the portion that does actually the section for the pickers. So we can see that there's a within Win32 file saver extension. There's a folder picker extension also that does the selection, but the one that we're looking for is this one. So once we're getting there for the file pick, we're going to go take a look at what we should be doing here for the file saving, and see if we're getting the right information, and if also we're sending that to the right API so that we get the right selection. So far, RC1 for of .NET 10 is not causing any trouble aside from the messages that we can see here. This is good. It's building pretty quickly. And .NET 9 was fast, but .NET 10 seems to be faster even, so that's pretty good. And let's wait for the samples app to build. Should take a few more seconds. There we go. And we can go back to the sample picker that we had before. So if we go to the history, we can go and select this. And if we suggest a name here and we do my test file, we pick, so it doesn't show up there. So it looks like we're going somewhere else. Maybe it's this below. Okay, so it looks like we have two APIs. They're not going at the same location. So we're gonna have to figure out why one is doing something and the other is doing something else. Pick suggested file save. I'm not too sure. So let's go and search for that string, pick suggested file save. No. Oh, suggested save file. I put it the other way around. Okay, so this is calling this particular API, which is going to FileOpenPicker. Okay, so that's a different picker. So that's why we're doing something different. So that's interesting because we have a pick suggested file. It's probably to be able to save it afterwards so that we can write to it. That's probably why. Okay, so but the one that we're looking for specifically, and because we're not specifically doing anything with that one, is the FileSavePicker. So we're going to be trying to see if the inputs that we specify there, and we're going to add a PNG here, PNG, and see if we get the right information at the right location, and see if we can populate the file save dialog properly. Okay, so context-wise, we're instead of something that's called a Win32 file saver extension, we have access to the picker, which probably has the information that we need. So we can see that it has the suggested file name, and it's probably also having a file type choice. No, not the one. File type choice is not filled, which is interesting. So that's not correct. So why don't we have it? We have the file choice here. No, it's still empty. Okay, so let's go figure out the suggested file name first, and we're going to go back to the support for the file extension. So for the suggested file name, there's likely to be some way to provide that support in the options that we're using here. So we have the commit text button that can be set. So that's interesting. So we get the file save dialog, which is Win32 com object. And let's see, we have a friendly name. Not too sure what that one is. Friendly name is something that's coming from the file type list, disposable. So it would be something that we can get from the list here, but this list is empty, so that's why we don't have anything. So we're not setting any target. Let's see if we are actually using the property. So we're talking about suggested file name. So suggested file name is not used at all. So let's start with that. We can also inspire ourselves from the use of the input API. The input APIs, the file saver APIs from the WPF entry. I think we have that somewhere in there. We have the extensions here, and in the extensions, we're probably going to find one that does talk about the pickers. And we have a file save picker extension. And this is interesting. So that one is a file save dialog, but that one is coming from WPF. And from presentation framework. So we're not using the presentation framework. So that means that we're going to be having to we're going to have to go and take a look at the save file dialog from WPF, try to figure out how they're setting that and replicate pretty much the same thing so that we don't use WPF. So let's go take a look at WPF. And probably we may be able to decompile that part. Let's see. No, that one is just a reference assembly, so we can't use it. So we have to go and look at the WPF sources. Okay, so WPF, GitHub. Not going to reinvent the wheel here and just reuse what's been defined here. So we have an open file and we have a few other properties where the create prompt, we have override prompt. Do we have something else? Not much. There's a file dialog, so probably defined in file dialog. Oh, that file's a bit bigger, so that's good. So is there a suggested file name? No, there's no suggested file name, but the one that we're looking for is file name. Okay, so that's file name, and file name is so we have save file name and file name. Where's that one defined? So file name. File name is set as part of a mutable item names, which is a single property that is likely to be used in the file save dialog, but let's go and take a look. No, it's not set there. So if we go back to the dialog, what do we have? So mutable item name. We're setting the file name here. Is there an API that we're calling here? No, it's just set as a mutable item name. So nothing usable directly. Okay, so it's not set there. So okay, who's using that? There's a common dialog, maybe it's used there. No. Let's search again. So we have the mutable file name here. We're calling the substring here. That file name is being set directly to that mutable item names. Doesn't seem to be used anywhere. So that means that there's something else that is using it when creating a file, or actually opening a file. So let's go take a look somewhere else. Maybe we can search for it. If we can't find it, we're gonna go in and clone the repository. Yeah, I don't have it there. I don't know if I have WPF clone, but let's go and clone it so that we can take a look. Yeah, let's go and clone WPF. It's going to be easier to navigate the code. Great. So I'm not going to be tracking it directly that way, but we're just going to be searching for the mutable something that we had. Mutable file name, was it? Mutable item names. Actually, we could do another try, but by running the app directly and just figure out what WPF is doing to integrate that. WPF is quite large. I'll save. Yeah, it's still scanning. Okay, so let's go directly in the folder. So Microsoft.NET WPF, SRC presentation framework, Microsoft Win32, save file dialog. So we have that one with the file dialog where mutable item names is used here. Wonder where it's defined. This one has to be defined somewhere else. This is interesting. So you can see, so I know that they keep changing inside the Visual Studio the search, where when you're trying to find something in files, it's not going to find it until everything has been indexed, which is kind of annoying. So anyways, so we have our file dialog. So that would be the one. There's a common item dialog, but that one I don't see. No, there it is. There we have public methods. Yeah, mutable item names. So this one is used here. We have the clone item names. We have item OK. Yeah, it's only used in an OK item just to pick up the item names that have been specified. So that's not what we want. There's probably some other option somewhere. But what we can do probably is go on the other possibilities. We can go and take a look at the API that we're using in here with the co-create instance, and take a look at the file open dialog options. Maybe there's a better way to set this the right way. So we have the options here, and we have the set options here. This is just a set of options. iFile dialog, iFile save dialog. Let's go take a look at some documentation. Otherwise, if we can't get there, we're going to go take a look at what Copilot has to say. iFile save dialog. So we have, hey, McNets, oh, no problem, for next week. So file save dialog, we have a set of collected properties. We have an iProperty store, which sets completely generic pieces. Okay, so we're gonna have to go and figure that part out, because this is not enough. So is there something else that we're setting here? Just setting this portion. We were doing some manipulations of the filter string. So what do we do when we do this? We have a set file types on the save file dialog. Maybe there's something else there that we can do. What do we have it defined here as part of the API? So we have the set file dialog, set file index, advise. Ooh, there's quite a few options there. Get options, set default folder, set folder, get folder, set file name. Okay, I like that API. Let's try that one. So if we do have, let's try it. If we do have a, so our API here is the picker, suggested file name. Probably gonna have to fill that out with that one out differently. So, but let's go with the flow for that one. We have the set file name. Set file name, and we're just going to be just dropping the name directly and see what happens. So the good thing is that we can do hot reload there. And oh yeah, stack log. Okay, so we could, but not this time. And this is because we have stack log in the middle. So that's a limitation of hot reload. So let's retry. Yes, McNets, I will try to resume the streaming regularly. It's been easier lately, so I'm going to be doing some more like I used to do a few months back. So we need to go to the file picker. And so we said that we wanted to add something there. So add an extension and suggest a name. My suggested name, and then we go and pick the file. So if we go down here, And we have a file name, and we set the file name. So far it didn't fail, so that's good. And if we load the name, there we go. Okay, so that's one for one feature. So it's probably not enough. I'm not too sure if we should be suggesting a file type. So we're going to take a look at why the file type is not set correctly. So that would be the second option. We're just going to be changing this. This is not enough. We want to have an actual content, not necessarily just a non-empty string. So there we go. So that's the first one. And so the other portion is the fact that we're not getting any filter item filters. So I'm not too sure why we're not getting this. So we have file type choice here, which is supposed to be listed. So let's try that again. I'm not sure what I pressed. I think I pressed F6. It's not going to be, just going to be starting with pause. So yeah, no, that didn't work. Okay. So go back to the file picker. Let's add a file extension. And let's go and select. Okay, so the file type choices is empty. Maybe a good reason for this to not work. So let's go and try to find out why. So when we're doing pick file save here, we should be having a list of options that we've selected here. So we have a file type choice. It's supposed to be there. But for some reason, it's not available. So we have file type choices, which is set to 0. So maybe there's another portion that I don't understand about the selector. Maybe that's the add type file type choice. Not too sure. We're gonna go take a look at what that API does. Okay, so we have add file type choice extension, file type choice, file type choice. File type choice, we have an extension. Yeah, it's supposed to be looks like there's something very broken with that sample, so we're gonna have to figure it out. Okay, so we have add file type choice here, and if we say that's not the one, so what that one does, suggested file name, we have a list of file type choice. We have a reset button, and that one is doing add extension. Okay, so that was the one below. That's why. Okay, so if we add another one for the old timers. Okay, so we have a new file type choice. And it's added to file type choice extensions. Not sure what that does. And it looks like a separate feature. Let's try another one. Okay, so there it should have been added, but no, still not yet. But it looks like the list of files has been updated. No, still not updated. Okay, so I'm not sure how that sample was developed, but it's a bit confusing. Martin probably would have a good idea of why it was developed that way. Okay, so we have a file type choices here for which we add a new file type choice. Oh, I get it. I understand. Okay, so that means that, okay, so when you add file type choice, it's kind of a list of file type choices that is available. Oh, okay. Okay, so you have to specify the name. Okay, so I get it now. So let's reset everything. So we have PNG, and do add extension. And then if we do add file type choice, then we have a file type choice. Okay, and it's giving a list of PNG as PNG. So you can specify a list of lists. So that's why it's happening that way. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, now I have my list here, so that's good. And if I do pick file save, will I have no? Oh, okay, all extensions will start with a dot. Okay, so that's not good. So we need to redo that again. Okay, so remove selected. So let's try again. We have PNG. So our extension is supposed to be PNG. We add the extension. And then we add the file type choice again. Okay, so we have our file choice. If we do pick file, this time we have file choices, which is filled up. That's good. Suggested file name is working, and we have the PNG. So now let's say if I do a test file name, what do I get out of this? So I pick file name. I put a breakpoint after that. If I do submit, what file do I get? So I do have display file name to test file name. It's not going to be using the PNG extension, interestingly. So I'm not too sure if it's supposed to be that way. So we're going to have to go and figure that one out. Not sure if it's the I'm not too sure if it's the responsibility of the FileSavePicker to add the extension if it's not there. So it might be the case. Okay, so we have a file that got picked successfully, so we can see that the file name is the right one, but there's no extension, so probably gonna have to figure that one out. Okay, so with regards to the original issue that was say there, so suggested file name is good. Now that we've fixed it, or almost, maybe we need to figure out a way to just change the extension. And we have the suggested start location. So that one is different. So let's see. So we have, I'm not sure if we can select that. Okay, we have a suggested start location, which is some of the known folder names. So let's see what we have as APIs in the Win32 extension. So if we go back again in our mapping, is there a suggested file name? So we have default folder. So that may be that default folder. Okay, so it's a shell item. It's probably something that we can define out of this. Let's see if WPF has something that looks like this. If the search is working. I don't know if you see the bug here. When I select a new file and do search, it did jump to something else. That's a bit weird. Okay, so in WPF you have prepare dialog, which is doing a few things here. You had the default directory, which is not too sure what that is. We're gonna figure it out. Default directory is a string, so we can specify the default directory as a string. But the thing is that the WinRT APIs don't allow you to specify it as such. Let me see. I don't remember entirely that API. So if we take a look at the API itself, we get unspecified, but you can only specify those. You can't specify something else. So you have to, we're going to have to map those to something else. So for this, we're going to do picker.suggested start location. And if it's not unspecified, let's see. I think I have my frame copilot that's here, but I'm not sure if it's going to be, it's generally, it's quite efficient. That's providing a few things. There you go. Okay. So I don't know where that code comes from, but it's probably, it looks like it's code that's coming from get initial directory. Okay, that's good. Local parameter, shell directory, item, shell item already exists. But if it's there, it means that we're using it for something. Okay, so that's for the result, not for setting the default directory. Okay, so we're going to be doing default folder item. So we need to be fixed in some way. Create item from parsing name. What does WinUI do? Maybe we don't need to do all of this because the set default folder takes a shell item, but yeah, we need to specify the shell item as a parameter. So that means that we have to we really have to get that shell item in some way. So that's not right. And our pinvoke doesn't have that specific method. So create item from parsing name. Pinvoke, does it have it? Yeah, we have to pinvoke. That's interesting. Oh, that's coming from Windows. Okay, so that's the yeah, this is generated. Okay, so this is something that we're generating as part of the build, and that's probably because we're using that native method support here. And for the functions, we're probably going to have to add the one that we want. So that would be sh create item from parsing name. So sh, do we have sh somewhere in there? We don't. Okay. Let's see. Do we get that generated? We do. Okay. So we have a bit of pointers to manage. We have a com scope that we don't need to manipulate. And then we have RRID as an input parameter. You can probably just drop the address operator. And for the shell item, we're going to be using this one instead. So we need the folder item, and this is an out parameter, I think. I cannot use default as a ref out of value because it's using variable. Okay, that's probably why. Should it be an out? Yes, it's an out, but let's see. Maybe we can. Okay, so this is not correct. So we need to convert that out void to something else. And I'm not sure how to do it. Let's see. Maybe we can, as a ref value, because it's using variables, so that we can't do. Can we, no, we can't put it as an out. This is an out with a pointer. Maybe we should be doing this, and then we can use that particular shell item to convert it. Maybe we can convert it to a pointer somewhere. So shell item. Maybe there's a way to get a variable out of this. There's a value shell item here. Can we get a as unknown? That's interesting. Not enough because it's getting a void. No, this is void every time. So maybe I can just cast it. Let's do that. Oh no, actually we can't do that because it's an out parameter. So we can't do it. So we can't do an out. So this, we're getting a pointer out of this. So we can only get a var from this, and probably gonna have to cast it in some way to a comp pointer that we can use there. Let's see. It's been a while since I've been doing this. This is very early 2000 kind of code. Maybe we can so default folder item, let's call it raw. Maybe we can convert it somewhere from there. Okay, so we can't convert from void to this. Maybe there's another way. Maybe we can do a new on it. No, there's no new. Maybe we can cast it then. I shall item. That's right. I shall item. Okay, that works, but not too sure if it's going to be the right thing. So let's try it out. Now that we have a pointer for the shell item, we can set a default folder and then get it to run properly. So we should be able to get the default folder from here, from the initial directory. Okay. So we don't need to select anything here because we don't need the rest. Okay. File choices we don't need anymore. Okay, so if we do have a suggested start location, which is a computer folder, we're going to get it from /. Okay. This is interesting. Computer folder is /. Okay. That is a weird path, but okay, let's continue. So we have our initial directory, and then we want to create a shell item from that /. And it failed, which is expected because / is not really a it's not really an actual folder. So maybe there's a way to get that folder out of in some other way. So we know that the file was not picked. So let's try another one. Let's try document library, just to see how far we can get. So this is my folder. It worked. Now we have an actual 64-bit pointer, and we can cast it to a shell item and then see if we can get that to my documents. We don't get my documents. Okay, so it looks like it should have been selecting the document folder, but it didn't. So it may be because the folder is not the right one, or maybe it didn't convert the right pointer. Let's see with downloads. Do we get something with downloads? No, still no. Okay, so it's still selecting the wrong thing. So maybe we can take a look at the execution of the set default folder. Maybe there's something wrong there, or we can start executing methods directly on it. Hey, thanks for joining. I'm trying to figure out how to make the FileSavePicker on Uno to work with the parameters that we're specifying here. So suggested file name, the start location, and things like that. Probably going to be doing other platforms as well if we get to the end of this by the end of the hour. Okay, so we got this. The H result seems to be okay. So feels like it's doing the right thing, but for some reason, it's not setting it properly for the file save. So it's not using the right save folder. So maybe it's because it's got saved to something else. And let's actually change the folder and write to another folder just as a just see if we change the folder, does it stay there? Is it because it memorized the folder? yeah, it doesn't change anything. Okay, so it keeps in save, so that's not the right way. So what do we have? Uno, it's a cross-platform C# XAML platform that allows to build for iOS, Android, WASM, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and get the same UI running everywhere. And you can go to platform.uno on the web to discover what we're doing. So our default folder name is not the right one. So maybe we can have some methods that we can run on this one. So there's the value. What do we have on that in that class? We have get display name. Let's try that one. What does this particular call do? It's supposed to be, because I've cast the pointer from one to the other. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe it's not able to read the folder properly. So so if I pick the file again, no, oh, it failed, it seems. Let's try. Oh, it's because I didn't select the right ones. Okay, so we need to select the, let's go for downloads and pick save. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna have to, so the get display name is file system path, but that one needs to be translated to something else because it's a wide string. So we need to convert it to something else. Nope, that's not the one. Let's see what Copilot says. If we ask it to do, yeah, no, path is not a string like this. So maybe there's a Marshall call that can help. No, that's not a free for sure. We get to get string. I think we get string for something. We get pointer to B string. No, that's not the right one. So PWSTR. Ah, there you go. Well, maybe that's enough. So this cannot be converted. So because it's a pointer, most likely. So we need to probably cast it to something else before. Okay, let's try that. We get used to the fact that .NET is easy and that the lower level APIs are difficult to work with. Okay, so we do have a path, so that's good. So it's supposed to be working. Now the problem is that the set default folder is not doing anything. So maybe there's an option somewhere that we need to set where maybe one of those options there to say use the folder. Let's see. In WPF, maybe there's something else that we need to set there. So we get dialog set folder. Maybe that's set folder that we need to use, not set default folder. Because set default folder may be because of the way, because there's a notion of there's a notion of a memory in that dialog. So if we set the default folder, it may be just, if you've never opened the app on a new computer, then it sets the default folder, and then if you want to override it, you can't. So that may be that may be what we want to change. That being said, it would make sense to not override the default folder for every time. So maybe we actually want to set the default folder properly. So let's go again and see what if we change to downloads, pick file save. There we go. Okay, it worked. Okay, so that's probably the difference there. Now the question is, if we're selecting something as part of Win32, actually even WinUI, if we're selecting a folder, we need to not override what the user selected before. So if the user sets the default, it might be changed afterwards. And if the user comes back, it doesn't want to just navigate again and select it again. So we're going to have to go and take a look at the documentation for the FileSavePicker and see what it was originally saying with the default. And if not, we're going to go into a separate application and just start it and see what happens. So we got methods and properties. So properties, we have the suggested start location. There you go. Okay, so to give the user a sense of the consistency, the FilePicker remembers the last location the user navigated to. So the one that we actually want to use is, with regards to the other APIs, is set default. So set default folder, which means that we don't want to overwrite what the user selected afterwards. Now the problem is that how do we know, if we want to change this, if it actually works? So let's try to start the app like this, and we're gonna go and run the app by changing the executable name. My guess is that Windows is doing it this way by figuring out what the executable is and just and try to adjust the output this way. So we're gonna make our generate 2, and so is it really the right name? We're gonna see. It's called Uno. No, that's not the one. What did I do? No, samples app. Okay, so our executable name really is on the system generate 2. So if we go and select the FilePicker and we go for music library, I don't have any music, but it doesn't matter that much. And then we go and pick the file. Do we go to music? We do. That's good. Now, if we go to the downloads and we save a file, we stop the app and we start again, we should not be moving away from the folder that we have selected. So if I go and say pictures library, or videos library, if I go and pick a file, we should still be in the downloads. There we go. Okay, so it stayed there. So that's a good thing. So the right location for doing this is the right API to do this is to use set default folders because we want the memory feature of the command dialog from Windows to stay there. We don't want the user to be confused by the fact that if it selected a separate folder, then go back again to that location. So that would be the right way to do it. Now there's one thing that is very interesting is that we want to select computer, and computer is kind of a special location. I'm not even sure how we should be selecting that one, because computer is not something that we have there, and we selected / like this, but it's kind of root for Unix, but it's not really what it is. I wonder if we have my computer there in the computer, my computer. I don't think we have computer here. Oh, no, we do have my computer. Okay. Not even sure what that one is returning. Let's try it out. Let's see what it does. I don't even know. So we may have to make for a special behavior there, because it's not a path that we can select. So we kind of have to do something different. So if we do computer folder, then we go there. Then in there, instead of instead of selecting, so we do get folder path, we're gonna do get folder path by and with another. So we get to picker location ID, computer folder. Okay, so I'm not at the right place, am I? No. Oh, special folder, that's why. Special. Nope, still not the right one. Computer. My computer. Nothing. Okay, that's right. Okay, so that makes sense. My computer is not a path that you can select. It's something that's just at the top. That's a kind of desktop way of doing things. You know, it's kind of it's above the desktop. So probably gonna have to do something about it. Now, the thing is, I don't know if we can select that differently. There's probably a way to do it, but anyway, so we're going to take a look at that afterwards. And the last one that was not working in the original issue was file type filter. Okay, so it says with more than one file type, it always sets the first one as the default, excluding the rest from the given list. Okay, so let's take a look. So that's probably related to our list that we generated here. So to get the get filter string. And let's go to making multiple lines. So we get, let's go for PDB. Let's remove this. We don't need it anymore. We got so just let's we're gonna do just for that one. So that's PDB. Then we're gonna be PDF, add extension, add file show. So we got two sets of files, and then we're gonna go and pick file save. Nothing. Okay, so oh, that's because I selected computer. So let's go for desktop. No, downloads. We should be raising an exception for that one. Okay, so we have PDB, we have PDF. Looks okay to me, but let's say, so there's something still to the fact that if we select something in file name, if we do test PDB, okay, so we get our PDB here. If I select PDF, it's PDF, sorry. Yeah, so that selected the right thing. Created a PDF. So I'm not too sure what that means. It said file type filter has more than one type. Oh, it sets the first one as the default, excluding the rest from the given list. Oh, maybe it's because it's when you're selecting more than one file type in a single list. So let's say we do image, and then we add PNG, and we add .bmp, and then we do call this images. So we get images here. Let's remove this one, and we do pick file. Oh, that's why. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so that's incorrect. It should be a single list of items. So it should be selecting providing images, and then do star PNG, comma, star BMP, star comma, and everything else. So oh, that makes sense. It selects the first one, and that's not good. So we should be able to have, because this is filtering the items that are from the list, so it should be showing all the items that are from a specific type, not just a specific set of filters, not just the first one. Okay, so that makes sense. So that's probably related to that filter extension that we have here, another PDF one. So we're probably looking at the list of filter file choices here. And it looks like we're filtering it the wrong way. Oh, I see Sonia is asking a question about void star. This is actually a void pointer. It's not a wildcard. This is a native pointer. You don't necessarily want to play with those. This is basically a C and C++ API. Well, it's actually in C API. That's just propagated over to running in C#. It's memory unsafe. That's why the extension here is marked as unsafe somewhere. I think, yeah, there you go. It's unsafe. So if you're doing something wrong, the application is going to break in a very bad way. So that's why we do have all sorts of helpers that are making sure that we're not just going into circles and everything like that. But the problem is some APIs are supposed to be exposing kind of seemingly typed pointers, but that was not the case there. For the filter here, this was a void star, it's a void pointer. And we needed to cast it to something else, to an iShell item pointer. So, I mean, because it's void, you can cast it to anything. If you wanted to, you could cast it to an int pointer and it would work. But, if you cast it to something else that doesn't, then it can behave in a very weird way. So be wary of that kind of pointers. Okay, so I'm over the hour, so I'm going to be stopping here, but that's interesting. So the fix here is actually not that difficult. We're going to have to just refactor this so that we can add proper patterns and not just one pattern, so that it filters properly for a single type, not just one. And that's going to be fixing all the issues that we saw. So, I mean, maybe except the computer issue, which should be, raising an exception instead of something else, but that's what we have right now. So that's it. I hope you learned a bit about the internal of Uno and how to debug Uno and make contributions. And I hope to see you next week for another live coding episode. Until then, happy coding and bye for now.